This video is going along with Chapter 16, Section 1, and the different ways companies use to determine the cost and value of their inventory. Number 1 here in the homework says calculate the total number of Sonic Blu-ray players available for this sale and the cost of the goods available for sale from the following inventory figures at Superior Electronics. Well, how do they come up with that? Well, they have inventory they purchased or had in stock. They previously purchased it. There was 40 of them, and that particular purchase price was $125. So you just simply take the units they had on hand times the cost per unit, and they would get the total cost. So it's just a calculator multiplying through. February 20, they purchased some additional inventory. They purchased 32 units. The cost had gone down a little bit at that point, so they paid a little less. This was what they had to write the check for. April 16th, purchased another 30 units. Price had gone up. That's what they had to write the check for. Then on June 8th, purchased 25 units. Cost dropped a little bit. What they wrote the check for to whoever they bought them from. This is how many units they had. This is the total cost. Again, pretty straightforward information here. So in the second step, they take that information and you can determine two different ways to calculate the value. The first in, first out, so that means the newest inventory is sold first, and then the last in, first out, so the oldest inventory is used first. So they're going to sell 60, or they had 64 units remained in their inventory, so what was the value of that? So if they use the first in, so they're pricing the newest inventory cost first. So if you remember from our chart, the newest price was $135, and they had purchased 25 units. So again, we're using that same information from our last exercise, number 1. We had 30 units were on that April 16th, if you're looking over on the other page there, and they paid $146 for that. And here's our just multiplying. Okay, so we needed 64. So that was 55, 25 and 30. We needed 9 more units of that February 20th purchase. And at that price, as you can see, was 118. So again, we're multiplying, doing a total. So if we do that same information using a different method, so we're using the oldest inventory, and on the chart there, they noticed that on January 1, they had a beginning inventory of 40 units. We're still going to use 64 of them. So that first 40, you can see by the chart there, was 125. So again, we're multiplying. We had that number there. We needed another 24 out of that 32 from the February 20th. Okay, because we need to get up to 64. So we don't need them all, but we had 24, and they were that 118 price. Okay, and again, we're just totaling it up. So it's just calculator at that point. So then they want you to do the average cost method. Okay, so that is that you take the goods available for sale, and that was at the bottom. Remember, we did that total in number 1, and we divided by how many we had, which is 127, which was also from that previous exercise. You can see it there, units purchased. And it's just top divided by the bottom. And we're going to change it into money, so that's why we rounded it. Okay. And then for the value of the inventory, we take our average price times how many we have. And we get that. Okay. Number 3 is yours, but I want to do it because it goes with number 4, and I want to show you again how all this works. So I'm just going to use the teacher's guide to kind of walk us through this because it's just as easy. So just like what we did in number 1, we're taking the units purchased times the cost per unit and just calculate it. Adding them all up, getting a total. So that part's pretty straightforward. Then we use that information down in number 4. And how did we use that? And the merchandise manager of Advanced Auto Parts took physical inventory of the oil filters on December 31st. It was found that 550 remained in inventory. And remember, from this previous exercise there, he had 1,110. So he got rid of some, but he has 550 left. So what's the value then? So we're going to do in the last in, first out. Okay? So the last in is going to be this group up here, the 250, because that was the last one, because it's first in. Okay? We're working backwards on these things. Okay, so $100.60, multiply. Okay, and we need all of those 300 to get up to our 550. And right here, we have a price. We multiply that across. I already have that information. All I have to do is just move it down. Okay, so the first in, first out total is this. Again, pretty straightforward. And then we can change it last in, first out. So we're going to use our oldest inventory first. Okay, so that's up here. So we need to get up to 550, so 160 of those. 145. Need another 210, so that's 370. Okay, just multiplying through them. And then since we're getting close to our total, well, then we would subtract the difference there. That gives us 180, so we need 180 of these 190 from up here at 152. Again, we multiply through, do our totals. We're there. So what is the average value then? So again, we're going to go up here and get our information from right up here. Cost of the goods for sale. Dividing it by our number. Okay. And then it's our inventory value of 550 units times the 162 that we just figured. And we had 891. So again, it's not super complicated. It just takes a few minutes to get the information and making sure you're using the right inventory method. The next section starts with number 7. And businesses are allowed, if market has changed some, they bought something, went out of season, or the next new product came in, it may not be worth as much. So you're allowed to change the value of your inventory based on market conditions. So Nose for Clothes Boutique had jackets, slacks, belts, and blouses. Had a certain amount of quantity and the cost. This is what they paid for it, but the market says it may be worth a different price based on what's going on in the market. So they're allowed then to determine which is the best deal for them. Well, they want to value it at the lowest because they pay taxes on that. So that's why they pick cost. Okay. Here the market price is better for them. Same thing here. Cost is better because the market says they're worth a little bit more than they paid for it. So it's just simply getting the information and determining. So let's do a little bit more of that. I'm going to go down here. Number 8 was right below as one of the ones you're not doing, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. Again, they're just typically looking at things. Here's the cost, here's the market. Market's a better deal to inventory the company. And then you're just simply calculating then that number times the best deal to get your amount that you're going to use on your books. So here market is better. Again, you're just taking 19 times 39.17, getting a number. So again, it's just choosing which is the best deal for the company and then multiplying your quantity times your best cost. And then the total value of your inventory. Okay? So again, there's lots in these chapters. Please read all of the sections and the business information in these chapters. That's where you're going to get all of that information from to be able to do the mathematics. Because you have to have the background to be able to know where you're applying the various formulas. So have fun with these.